Hey, everybody, here we are. I'm Frank Gaffney, coming to you from Memphis, the city of something. What's it called? Soul City?
Music.
Soul City? I think maybe. All right, we're continuing our series, Marvel Mondays. We're watching all 23 movies, MCU movies in the order they were released. Here we are. We're going to Graceland tomorrow. Isn't that exciting? Thank you very much. Here with me is Amy Goldman.
Coming to you from Kew Gardens.
Yeah, Crew Gardens.
Crew Gardens.
And Amy's the only one of us who has never seen the movie before. And Joel Fenster, of course, who has seen the movie how many times?
This is actually only my fourth.
Fourth time. Yeah. Mark Gartner, who has
from Wakanda,
has only a few of the cast members on his wall. Annie King, coming from whose bedroom?
Ava's
bedroom. And Nick Prescott, aka Nick the Brit, who is there showing his favorite Brit, Doctor Strange there. Okay, so this is MCU number 19, Avengers Infinity War from 2018, which explains why Joel's only seen it 4 times. And it's the 7th chapter.
He watched it last night for a 5th time.
No, tonight he'll be watching it for a 5th time.
It's Monday!
Oh, right, Monday. Sorry.
But he's watching it again on Saturday. So if it's Monday,
he watched it
2
again.
days ago.
2 nights ago, right.
I used the time zone to go back and never mind.
Yeah, Frank, I think you can give up on the pretense that anybody thinks we're doing this live at 9 o'clock on a Monday
I never
morning.
pretended that. That's Amy. It's the 7th chapter in phase 3 of Who the Fuck Cares. We start as always with last week's after credit sequence. Bucky is ready to rejoin the MCU because we need one more person in this 40-person cast. Aim. So, Aim, did you watch the recap? You know, it's been 10 years since we started watching these. Oh, no. It's been 10 years since Iron Man to Infinity War.
I watched your recap, and then I watched a much better one that was 15 minutes long after. That was really good. That one went in order of everybody's story as opposed to just order of the movies in which they were released. And it made so much more sense. But it didn't really help me at all today. Because today I was like, I don't remember any of this shit.
Okay. So, So Thanos, James Brolin? No. Josh Brolin does a lovely job. He really does. He's so good. But he looks like a rock'em sock'em robot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're gonna go like this with his fist. And the lackey, I don't know his name. You dare not speak his name.
Which lackey?
Voldemort, the one that looks like Voldemort.
Ebony
Maw.
Yeah, and he's there for like 10 minutes and then they kill him. And so okay. You know, I always have peeves going on. So there's quite a few in this movie, I must say. So Thanos sends his minions to go fetch a stone when he said in one of the post-credit sequence, I'm going to have to just do it myself. And then he says, you guys go get it. Hello? I like my consistency in my villains, if you don't mind. And I thought that the Hulk and Bruce had different memories. But here, Bruce kind of remembers what happens to the Hulk. And why won't Hulk come out? Did I miss something?
What made you think that they had different memories?
Because there are times in the other movies when Bruce didn't remember what the Hulk did or how he got wherever he was.
He does black out a bit when he turns into the Hulk. Sure.
Don't we all? So why wouldn't the Hulk come out? Did I miss something?
Because they were on a break.
I read that too because people were saying that he was scared because Thanos kicked his ass in the opening scene. Yeah. But from what the director said, and I haven't read it recently. This is like from a year or two ago, so I might get it wrong. But I think they said that the Hulk was tired of always coming out to save his ass, basically, and he just said, "No, I'm not coming out anymore." Plus, don't forget he was out for 2 years. He probably wanted a little rest.
Yeah.
I also just read today that was the reason. The first thing you said, he was too afraid. He was like, I can't think of the word. You know, when you're like, I can't.
Traumatized.
Traumatized, yeah. which makes more sense than the Hulk was like, yeah, fuck it, I don't want to do it anymore.
Well, one thing I saw, somebody was like, it was like a whole impotency issue that he
Little
couldn't
bit.
Hulk up.
Yeah. Never happened before, I swear.
Like,
Green and hard.
it happens to everybody, Mark, all monsters.
And I don't understand too is that Tony and Pepper Potts are walking around the park. Isn't he famous? Why don't people run up to him and say, "Ooh, you're Tony Stark"? Ah,
Because just around the perimeter, Happy Hogan and the rest of the security force
stopping people.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right, that was in the deleted scene.
I didn't know that. Okay, and why are Cap and Tony not on speaking terms when at the end of Civil War, Cap sent a letter and said to Tony, "If you need me, I'll be there." And now they're not on speaking terms.
That was
I
pretty
think-
much still not on speaking terms. You know, it was just like, all right, yeah, if you need me, I'll be here, but you know, we're still.
But you're an asshole and I don't care.
Yeah.
They almost killed each other. It was pretty bad. So,
Yeah.
but I just want to confirm with Joel, that was he sent that cell phone right at the end of the movie. That's why
Yeah.
Tony had that little flip phone.
Oh, right.
Cap's not going to have a modern smartphone. He's going to have a flip phone.
Right.
And I thought Odin told Thor that the hammer was not the source of his power, but why did he need it so much in this movie?
It's not the source. It's not the source of his power, but it's still a weapon, and he realizes that he needs a weapon.
Because he can't defeat Thanos without one. Or with
And
one.
we get a new weapon.
Yep.
Okay. And Loki is dead again. Is he dead?
You'll
Should
have
we
to find
spoil it
out.
for you?
Well, he's not dead. He's getting his own TV series.
And you have to wait till next week to find out why.
And Gamora dies in this one too. There's a lot of dead in this movie, which actually was really pretty great because it's kind of culminating and you feel like now the stakes are this high and anybody could die. It made it more exciting as opposed to, being the Iron Man movie and 40 minutes into it, he's not going to die. He's not going to die. But here I'm like, ooh, anybody could die. And of course,
I've related it to, if anybody's a Game of Thrones fan, the first 4 or 5 seasons kind of dragged, a little bit happened. And then all of a sudden at the end, there's season 7 and 8, it was like a whole season would happen every episode. And that was kind of how this was. It was, like you said, a lot of stuff happened. A lot of people died. So
speaking of Game of Thrones, why is Peter Dinklage wasted in this movie?
he was
Seriously.
good.
Oh my gosh, he had nothing to do.
He had a very
And
big
doing
part.
that voice. I'm going to talk like this because I'm supposed to be
Well, that voice was painful.
He's the
painful.
tallest dwarf in movie history.
Yes.
Is he?
He's supposed to be. They say he's one of the. They refer to him as a something dwarf or something at one point.
And if Thanos's rule is he's going to get rid of 50%, why did he get rid of all the dwarfs? Is there another plane with the other 50% of dwarfs?
My assumption is that in this specific instance, it has nothing to do with him balancing the universe. It has everything to do with him killing off anybody who has potentially helped him.
Yeah, I didn't think he was starting the 50% thing until he had all 6 stones. That's when the 50% starts.
Right.
Okay, so then, the stakes are high. Anyone can die, except if I could turn back time, which we'll see in a minute. At least we get Stan Lee in the first 20 minutes. So
One quick
And
line
then-
it out.
And then I did actually LOL when the title card came up and it said space. That was funny. And like they were making fun of themselves and me yelling at them for their stupid.
Yeah.
And also very funny was when everybody yelled at Groot, language. That was very cute. And this was the note I took. What's with the facial hair? Both Star-Lord and Captain America are copying Stark now. And then Thor made the joke later that he was copying his beard. and he got a haircut. Of course, the whole battle's going on, and they have time to stop and do little quips. It's lovely. And I also laughed when Spidey introduced himself, and he went, "I'm Peter Parker," and he says, "I'm Doctor Strange." He says, "Oh, we're using made-up names."
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Spider-Man. I'm Spider-Man. All right. And okay, here's I know it's comic book, it just happens, and people, how did Thor know to go to Wakanda? Nobody even knew about Wakanda, and then he shows up here like he knew everybody was there already. I'm listening. Just showed up.
So I'm gonna go with this.
Okay.
So the Breaker.
Stormy Daniels.
Stormbreaker can also open up the Bifrost. So you have to assume that in opening up the Bifrost, Thor said, "Take me to Captain America." And the Bifrost took him to Captain America, who just happened to be in Wakanda.
I like that theory. Let's go with that one.
Yeah.
How about at the closing credits last week when T'Challa said, "This is Wakanda," so they all knew about it after that movie.
Because they watched the movie too.
Thor didn't watch.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, he was off with Jeff Goldblum on the Devil's Anus or whatever that planet was called.
Oh, right.
Thor
Not to be confused with Asgard.
Right. Well, the last time we saw Thor and the Asgardians, they were, in their ship, and Thanos' ship had just arrived. That was at the end of the mid-credit sequence of Ragnarok.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. All right. And one other thing that really bothered me was Mark Ruffalo's floating head in that robot costume. That was just awkward and creepy at the same time. Like his head was like that was bad CGI. And I would like to know, but I did love Spidey's legs. That was very cool. When all of a sudden he had spider legs.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was very cute.
I didn't know where you were going with that for a second, Frank, and I do want to remind you that he's 15 years old.
Right?
Is he 15? He must be 17 by now.
Well, his character is supposed to be like 15 or 16, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Holland's in his 20s.
Yeah.
And so he's fine. But he still is the cutest thing on the planet. He's so good in this part. He really is.
He wasn't on the planet.
Well, if he was on this planet. Okay. So Doctor Strange says to his cloak, "Don't let him close his fist." What does that have to do with anything? He didn't have to close his fist to activate the glove.
Yeah, he did. Sorry, I'll let Joel go. Joel can explain it better.
I'm not going to explain it better. It's just, when you snap your fingers, I can't snap my fingers, so I'm not even going to try. It's like, but when you snap your fingers, what is your fist doing? Exactly. You've just closed your fist each time you've done it.
But so before
I saw him use the glove without closing it.
No, every time he utilized, so the difference in the comic books, he didn't need to do anything. He could just activate the stones regardless. To make him less powerful for the movie, they made it so that he has to close his fist in order to activate any of the stones. If you watch the movie again, every time you see a stone going, his hand is closed.
I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't see it 4 times.
Well, maybe you should open 4 times. I've seen a lot more than that.
Joel, you're an embarrassment to this group. Only seeing
I'm sorry. This is what happens when you don't have time to do a marathon each time each movie comes out.
I thought you were going to say when you have children. That's always an excuse.
I could blame it on them too.
Let's do that.
All right, and where the hell were the Wakanda rhinos in the battle? Come on, they could have been helpful here. I guess
they were sulking because you had told everybody that they were rubbish last week.
I guess they were wherever the Avengers are.
Fine, we wouldn't have come.
They were wherever the Avengers are when they're always needed in the other movies that they never show up in. But this is the whole universe at stake. We could have used rhinoceros. Rhinoceri?
Rhinocera.
This is.
But let me just say the fight between Strange and Thanos was really great. I loved when he split up to 42 of him. That was great. And the other thing I really loved, and I do want to know if this is in the comics too, about the whole thing with Gamora and Thanos. And it really seemed like he was remorseful and regretted throwing her over the cliff. Is that from the comics? Were they real? Did he really know her, and did they cross over in that way? Or this is just made up for the movie?
She was his adopted daughter,
Right.
And he wouldn't have been able to get that stone if it wasn't somebody that he actually cared about.
Right, but is this from the comic books?
Mark, you would know better. You're the Marvel guy.
I don't actually. I don't in regard to this. Again, Gamora. I don't remember her from the comics at all. In the comic books, this story was actually called the Infinity Gauntlet, and then it was followed up by something called the Infinity War, which was kind of boring. But I don't remember that at all. So I'm going to say no. It was made up just because they have different characters here that are fighting him and so forth.
Well, I like that Zendaya. Is that her name? No. Zoe Saldana. Where was Zendaya? That was
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
That she actually had stuff to do. It was very nice for her. It was nice moments for her. Okay, so, and since everyone just waited to have their turn at Thanos, I guess this movie proves once and for all that Thor is the mightiest Avenger. Just saying. Discuss. Are we in agreement?
In the context of this movie, maybe, but I think I would say that there are two that are more powerful than him.
Oh yeah, Hawkeye, right?
Where's Hawkeye?
Yeah, he's still on the farm, obviously.
Yeah, Hawkeye and Ant-Man were nowhere to be seen in
Ant-Man.
this movie.
Yeah.
Well,
Why didn't they put
Ant-Man was
Ant-Man?
in the quadrant zone or whatever it's called.
Spoilers.
Next
Oh,
movie.
that means nothing to me.
Yeah.
Quadrant zone.
And you could say that
I-
during the next Ant-Man movie, and I would know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
They say in the movie, both Ant-Man and Hawkeye, I almost said Hawkman, Ant-Man and Hawkeye both made deals with the government to get out of the prison they were in and went about their business. So we didn't need them.
Okay, so let me just say that this movie is one of MCU's greatest achievements. I really feel like this is the one that should have gotten the Best Picture nomination. It's the best for the same reason that Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, because they don't have to deal with having to do all the exposition crap, and they don't have to deal with wrapping things up, which can get a little sticky at times. So for me, this is the best movie I've seen so far. And I would give it.
Based on I thought you were really critiquing it a lot. I thought you were.
No, I mean, no. All those silly things are the nits that I pick, and I assume you all agreed with me on every one of my nits that I picked.
Of course.
No.
And so I give this a very enthusiastic 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
But somebody else is going to have to write these down.
Oh.
I don't have my paper. All right.
Not I.
I have paper.
You have paper?
I have paper. Okay. And I honestly, I do feel like this really was my favorite movie of all the ones. And then I have seen this one before, and there were definitely, it again resonated so much more for me this time, because even with watching that 10-minute thing that I sent to you, Amy, that you dismissed and watched something else.
I said I watched both.
You said the other one was better.
It was.
Because for that very reason, because now I'm invested in everybody's story, and now I get it. So it was really good. All right, Annie King, what do you say?
I love this movie just for all the characters. This one for me was my 4. This is my 4 star. So it was definitely 4 stars for me. I love seeing all the characters come together, and it was just a lot of fun to see everybody back, but the one thing for me was that whole scene in Wakanda. It made me think of Star Wars when they had that whole scene of, I was like, oh, I've kind of like seen this before, but
Yeah, it definitely does borrow from other epics. Definitely Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, sure. I just thought of another thing that made me laugh out loud was when the battle was going on in Wakanda, and that girl right there says, when you said we were going to open up, I thought maybe a Starbucks or something, not,
Yes.
not this craziness.
Yeah. Yeah. I had written that down, the Starbucks. Yeah. But
That's funny.
the other thing I liked was when they were when the evil women, well, the evil girl character said to the Scarlet Witch, "You're gonna die alone," and Black Widow and the other girl was there. You know, I thought that was really a cool.
Amy
cool
cried at
little
that
moment.
moment. She related it to it.
Dying alone? Thank you, yes.
Jesus.
Yes, I kind of felt like, you know, all the female characters like kind of came together on that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, isn't there a moment?
Totally.
Is that an end game?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's,
okay.
there's
knew I
another
saw
one,
it.
yeah.
I thought it was going to be in this movie. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought it was like 5 or 6 of them.
I got to say something about that. I was going to say it later on, but I just want to say to Annie, number one, yeah, I say that all the time to Danielle when we watch it. I love that scene. It's a great scene. That to me is a great rah-rah female scene. The one that they do in Endgame, I found to be horrible, and it's like over the top. Look at us, we're women. It was really, really badly done for me. But this
Mark,
one I thought was,
the word you're looking for is contrived.
is it? Okay, it's contrived. That's it. But yeah, I agree.
All right, so 4 stars from Ian. Are you done?
I'm good.
Okay. Mark G, as long as you started talking.
This movie gets 4 stones from me. The only other one I did that for was Avengers 1. And, you know, when we watched that one 90 days ago, what I said was that was the greatest comic book movie ever made. And I stand by that. It really was. And I think just as a standalone movie, it had everything you wanted. The big summer blockbuster, the buildup throughout the whole movie to the big battle. At the end, they win. It was great. This one was much different, obviously, but it just, I'm a big action genres fan. And when you take, you know, the staples, something like, you know, a Die Hard or Lethal Weapon, to me are great. Well, I've watched those again and again. But when you add in adventure, a sense of adventure and more comedy, that's just made for me. And the way that this movie, what is the proper word, pacing? The way the whole movie went was, you know, a lot of battles, but as soon as you had maybe a little bit too much battle, they had a little dramatic scene, a little tender moment from father and daughter or lovers. And then you had something like Drax standing there eating a nut thinking he's invisible, cracking you up. So there was, and Drax, again, I forget who said it when we watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2, between him and Tony Stark and Spider-Man. And I mean, just the comedy was, you know, you could have done, when movies get a little too jokey, it can be over the top. It could be a little annoying. But I don't know if the writing was just so good, the delivery was so good that it worked really well. And again, you know, all the adrenaline in there. So it's my favorite purely because of rewatchability. I've actually seen this movie 15 to 20 times, I would say, and it only came out 3 years ago. And I don't watch movies that much. I can't get enough of it.
I definitely felt this movie was very, very compelling. Like you really, again, you're so vested in their stories, and it really is well told. The Russo brothers.
Yeah. For a 2.5 hour movie, it went by really quick.
It didn't. Yeah, it didn't feel.
Yeah.
It didn't feel it at all.
Like the different segments all came together really nicely.
Yeah,
totally. And the last thing I'll say is just that Thor and the Guardians together, especially the first scene with them, and then him off with Rocket. I came home and told Danielle about that with the whole Drax calling him a pirate, you know, a pirate and an angel had a baby and all that stuff. So many good lines. So.
Oh, man. And when he just kept calling him Rabbit.
Rabbit, yes.
Rabbit and Tree. Oh my God, I love Thor so much. And I love the Guardians so much.
Totally.
Okay.
I need a movie of just Drax.
No,
he laughed less in this one.
What?
Sorry.
I just want to say he laughed less in this one, which was good. He was laughing too much.
Yeah.
All right, Nicholas.
I can't remember what I gave to the first Avengers.
Neither do we.
No, I can't remember either.
Were you
and that
even
was-
on that one? Who knows?
I was. It's a Loki heavy movie, so of course I was there. Yeah, this is a 4-star movie. It's. I think the fact that it actually adds some gravitas and it actually does finally have you realize, okay, maybe not everybody is completely invincible. It's about time that you actually got that sense in some of these movies, because, you know, we've gone through so many of them, and it's the same way when you watch a James Bond movie. It's like, well, you watch to see how he's going to get out of it, not if he's going to get out of it, because you feel like, well, we know that the good guys are going to win. So there's something refreshing about having the good guys not actually win in this one. I will also say the legacy that this movie left, at least for the year until Endgame came out, was phenomenal. I mean, the amount of this water cooler discussion, which, I mean, that's an old term now because it's all online, but the amount of discussion that people had in theorizing how they actually were going to try to beat Thanos, and knowing that Doctor Strange had done his weird swirly thing and had, theorized that there was one chance. So, okay, so there is a chance that they can do it. And people were discussing it day after day for an entire year, trying to come up with it. Some were logical theories, some were very comical, some were downright obscene. But yeah, the anticipation for that movie coming out, for the next one coming out, I think is testament to how good this movie was and how good it was with the ending.
Amy, are you anticipating Endgame with that same kind of palpitation?
I am definitely looking forward to it. I want to see what the hell is going to happen, because we know if not most, all of them are going to survive, because half of them have movies coming out. So I'd love to know how it's all going to be reversed. They're just going to go back in time and redo everything and find that one way to do it. So I love the ending. I love the special effects. I couldn't get enough of them just disappearing. It was beautiful.
Yeah. And
but,
Amy,
here's the thing, it was just weird to me that it took its time occurring so each person could do it on their own screen time.
I loved it.
Like it didn't happen all at once. Like boom, everybody melts.
Yeah.
I love that it started happening in New York at the same time. I loved that.
Yeah, and why didn't Thor, when he was going to help, why didn't he say, oh, they always destroy New York, let's go there, they must be in New York? No, he went to Wakanda.
Again, I said he said to the Bifrost, take me to Captain America.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you got to go to Wakanda. That's where that brilliant Shuri is.
Yep.
Right. I'm sorry, Nick, were you done?
No, I was just going to say to Amy, if she wants to have some fun in the lead up, read some of the fan theories as to how Ant-Man might defeat Thanos.
Oh, okay.
How who? Ant-Man?
Ant-Man. Because he's the next movie.
Yeah, there's some interesting fan theories that he's the key to everything.
And that's why he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe, Nick, that was one of the obscene
yes,
that you read.
That would be one of the obscene versions.
Yeah.
All right, send me a link.
Okay, I'll find one. I pass.
Hi, Joel. He passed to you.
Oh, to me. Okay. So you referenced The Empire Strikes Back earlier. It is easily the best of the Star Wars films because of where it stands in that spot where these characters, in that sense, you've only had 2 movies to deal with them, but they've become beloved, and now they're in this predicament where they are fallible. They haven't won. They're in a dark place, and I love stories like that. And we've come 19 movies, and we actually kind of get, this is the second Empire Strikes Back of the series, as far as I'm concerned, because the Winter Soldier is kind of the first, because you're dealing with, SHIELD, which was, built up as this giant force of good, is actually not, and all the fallout that happens there. So for me, this is definitely a 4-star film. I do have a couple of nitpicks about some story aspects that bother me more each time I see it. and it has to do with characters that are missing, because this is we'll start with this is not an Avengers movie by any stretch of the imagination. This is Thanos' story. The story is completely told almost from his point of view with what he is doing. Yes, you get the Avengers in there, but there's no like main focus on any one of them. They all get their perfect amount of screen time, but I think Thanos has the most screen time of everybody. And what I would have wanted is the movie starts with the end of the attack on the ship with the Asgardians. And so he's got one stone already because he's blown up Xandar, which that's completely off screen before the movie happens. Yeah. I think that's unfortunate because that would have been a great way to start the movie. You know, to see Thanos actually on Xandar. It didn't have to be a big thing. It could be, okay, I'm doing this myself. I'm going to snap Glenn Close's neck. I'm going to take the thing out of the vault. It's now in the gauntlet, and we're going to find the next one.
And who hasn't wanted to snap Glenn Close's neck?
But I also would have wanted to see it's touching how Heimdall is able to, you know, get the Hulk off the ship and back to Earth as a warning. But like the deaths of the Warriors 3 in Ragnarok, it's almost shortchanged a little bit. How did Heimdall get to that point where he's dying? You know, what happened to all the Asgardians? Where was Korg? Where was Valkyrie? Where was Sif, who we haven't seen in a bazillion years? You know, it's all these little characters that we just saw 2 movies ago on that ship. They're nowhere to be found. And you didn't have to spend like half an hour doing all this. This could have been an extra 10 minutes, and it wouldn't have affected the pacing or the plotting or anything. It would have given Thanos more to play with, as well as give the audience a little bit more satisfaction in some of these more minor characters. And again, there's one at the end where, you know, where we're in Wakanda, and why is Wakabi not there? All of his men are there because they've got the cloak shields that they put up, but he's not with them. You know, it's little things like that.
Yes. I also wanted to bring up, I forgot, it's on my notes, but like Red Skull, like all of a sudden he's back kind of thing. That was kind of like a little just thrown in.
But it's thrown in, but they explain it well enough, because he says, you know, I held the Tesseract in my hand, and this is what it did to me. It forced me into this position. And I love the fact that he's back. I'll have complaints about him in another movie and you know, why he kind of got wasted after that. But I think it's brilliant that he is the one guiding us through what the Soul Stone is all about, because he is one of the only other people other than the Guardians to have physically touched one of the stones. So I think it's a great movie. I'm sad I haven't watched it more.
Good thing you got it tonight.
Yeah, I'm watching it again tonight. But
should have gone over to Mark's all those 15 times he watched it.
Joel, do you think it's just cheap writing that we don't know where those other characters are that I can't remember who you said? Because we know we're going to see them in the next few movies.
I don't think it's cheap writing at all. I think it literally comes down to, we have so much we're cramming in already. How do we justify this? And I think if they had sat for just a little bit, they could have easily worked it in and not affected anything and given you that little bit. I'm not faulting the movie for it, in the sense that
yes, you are.
No, it's not distracting. It's not detracting from the
enjoyment of it
or my enjoyment. It's just one of those things. I wish they had thought a little bit more about that, and maybe they did, and maybe they decided, you know what, there's just too much going on and we can't get this in there, or maybe they even shot something with half of them and then just was like, in the editing it fell by the wayside. I don't know. So,
and this is his nitpicks for a 4-star movie.
Exactly.
For me, a 4-star movie has no nitpicks.
No, I can find flaws with anything.
That's obvious.
Joel, one thing I was thinking, in addition to what you said, it might be too much cramming in there, but also just trying to get all the actors in a certain time frame. There's so many people in it, and to get Taika Waititi and Daniel Kaluuya, and just what if they're doing another movie? That's my explanation for that. But you're absolutely right, especially your first point about the Power Stone and just glossing over the fact that he already attacked and destroyed a planet basically to get it. So.
I think that would have been a powerful opening to the film. I mean,
Sure.
it already has one because we've decimated half of the Asgardians that were still alive. But
I think maybe Mark is more onto the real problem is that they probably didn't have Daniel Kaluuya for another movie. They probably didn't sign him for another movie. So
I doubt that highly. Because everybody who signs on to these movies is signed on for multiples. My guess is it's more of a scheduling issue than anything else, because to schedule all those people, I know for a fact that with Benedict Cumberbatch, because realize they were shooting both Infinity War and Endgame back to back. Benedict Cumberbatch was involved in something else when they started shooting, and they used a double and basically grafted him on later.
So they could have done that with anybody. If they really wanted the Kaluuya, they could have green screened him in.
Yeah.
Bring some milk too.
Yeah, Kaluuya.
Anyway, I think that covers everything.
Well, I'm glad you loved it, Joel. Now, the newbie who had never seen it before, Miss Amy Goldfuck.
And who sadly didn't take notes and doesn't really have that much to say, but I really loved it. But for me, love is 3.5 stars. So I can only give it 3.5 stars, even though I loved it, because I gave Thor 3.6 Ragnarok and Guardians Volume 2 3.75. So I'm like, well, I didn't like this one that much more than those. So that's the only reason I'm giving it 3.5. Unless we can go like to 3.65, I'd give this 3.6. But I don't really have that much to say, but you've all covered everything. I really enjoyed it. Whenever they did, like I keep saying, whenever they did the comedy great. It was just so good. Like there's a Spider-Man and an Ant-Man. I never even thought of that. Yeah, there is. And every time the Guardians were on, it felt like they got a little group of writers just to write for the Guardians because it was so fucking funny language. So I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was exciting from beginning to end. I was never bored in 2.5 hours. And I just love that they kept bringing in more people. Like here comes Thor and here come the Wakandans and just everybody. It was great. A lot of fun.
The gang's all here.
Yeah.
And what about the Ben and Jerry's ice cream line?
Oh yeah, it was very, very funny.
And it was also kind of sad when Black Panther melted away. What was his last line? It was something.
Meow.
It was very poignant. I don't remember now. But I was thinking, oh, and he really is gone now. Okay.
Yeah, he's so good.
All right. Anybody have any last minute comments?
Just one other quick thing. One of the other things that I do really love about this movie is going forward, there are a lot of things that are set up here that are going to pay off later on.
I've said this before. I just think it's amazing that somebody had the forethought to say, we're going to play this out over, 16 movies, because those first 3, I don't think they really had a major plan.
Right.
And to plant all those things is just amazing that they could have that canvas to tell all those stories and to bring them all to the end game.
If you watch the extras that Mark said, that director's roundtable, that was a really fun one to watch.
Yeah.
See how
Thanks,
they
Mark.
all,
Yeah, and I think that they basically all agreed that it was all Kevin Feige. They really kind of paint him as he was the guy that was leading the charge the whole way, that had that vision. Yeah.
It's amazing. It makes you wonder what the hell they're gonna do in the next 23 movies. All right, so the post-credit sequence, Nick Fury is driving along. Was he in New York?
Yep.
Of course.
And, that looked more like Washington, D.C.
They were in D.C.?
I don't know.
Wouldn't know because there was no title card that said where we were.
Where in the movie were they in New York? Oh, when they were Doctor Strange, there was somewhere they was in New York. It's like New York meets on a truck.
This is the very end of the
That's
movie
strange.
where the
No,
Yeah.
I know, but there, where did I see?
Amy,
the-
look, can you not see the bodega?
and the
Doctor
bodega,
Doctor
sure.
Strange's sanctum is in the village.
So maybe that's where I saw the truck earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. And so Nick Fury tells Spectra, Chaos, what is it? Shield. What
yes, this is Get Smart. Control and Chaos are actually
Yeah.
and Spectra is James Bond, right?
Spectre.
And he texts them what's going down, and obviously that's just it's going to show up. And Endgame is the very next year,
1 year later.
2019.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But you have two
Um,
movies to cram in between.
What crap is in between?
You have two movies to cram in between.
Oh, I thought you said crap in between.
No.
Yeah,
So our next one is Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is streaming on Disney Plus, if you have that. And I'll be home. I won't be in Memphis. So we're actually going from here to Dollywood next on Tuesday.
Have fun. Have a
I
good
know,
time.
yeah. You know, what self-respecting gay would be in Tennessee and not go to Dollywood? Come on.
Wait, you're gay?
Hey,
Wait, you're self-respecting?
thank you.
Bye-bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody. Good
everybody.
night.
Hi, guys.